What's going on, everyone? Someone asked me to do a knife comparison between the Les George VECP and the Chris Reeve Large Sebenza 21 that I have. And so I'm kind of complying to that and just going to give my overall kind of impressions of these knives as how they compare to one another. But I'm throwing a third one into this, being that the Sebenza is so close, or being that the Umnumzaan is so close to the Sebenza as well. And some of the design features of the Les George VCP I actually find are more similar to the Umnumzaan than the Sebenza. So I'm going to talk about all three really quick, just so you guys can get a better overview of all these knives. So here we go. Really quick here. So measurement wise, here they all are closed. Lengthwise closed, I think the VCP measures up with the Umnumzaan the most. The Sebenza handle I think is just slightly shorter. Obviously all of them are titanium handles, titanium frame locks. This one, with the micarta inlays, just has a little bit more flair. I just think it, adds to the design, the look. I had a plain Sebenza a long time ago, but obviously not now, so I can't compare that by itself. So I should do like a scoring system, but I'm not going to do that right now. Anyway, so in terms of some design elements here, Sebenza's got a 3.625 inch blade, Umnumzaan's got a 3.675 inch blade, and the Les George VCP's got a 3.5 inch blade. Okay, so the VCP's got the shortest one of them all. Pocket clips are the same. On the Umnumzaan and Sebenza, VCP's got the Allen Elishewitz style spoon clip blade, which is very nice, very secure in the blade. For the locks, the Sebenza just has a free-flowing frame lock, no stabilizer, so you could overextend this knife. This older version of the Umnumzaan doesn't have any kind of lock bar stabilizer, but the new ones all utilize the Hinder lock bar stabilizer, which I think really detracts from the look of the Umnumzaan, just the overall flow and design. Just this really, I don't know, this is my personal opinion, just this really ugly, kind of off-colored plain circle pin that just doesn't match the look of the knife. The newest ones that I heard of actually have the CR, kind of like this little emblem right there on the stop pin, or not the stop pin, the lock bar stabilizer. So maybe it looked a little bit better in my opinion. The VCP's got a full-blown Hinder lock bar stabilizer that's screwed into there. It's hidden by the spoon clip, which is kind of nice. That's a really cool feature. But it works perfectly. I cannot overextend this bar at all, so it makes the lock extremely secure. In terms of blade stop, the Sebenza's got a stop pin, a large stop pin in there. It's not shouldered. It just sits within two screws, or these screws here, so it sits over the female screw, and then you screw the other one in. So that's one of the other ways that you secure the scales together on the Sebenza. The Umnumzaan uses the thumb studs as the blade stop, so just like a Strider or a Hinder. And then the VCP has just a shouldered stop pin in here. Okay, so you can see how it's sticking out here and here. And then the blade tang is radius, so it sits nice and flush or around like that, around the stop pin. So that's how it stops. In terms of again securing the scales together, this one's got a nice titanium pillar standoff here, nice and large. The Sebenza has a kind of like a Hinder-esque, if you will, pillar standoff, which is really nice effect on this knife. I've seen Brad Southard titanium spacer, which looks really cool. If any of those things come out on the forums, I think I might jump on that next time. And then the VCP uses a G10 black back spacer, which I think is nice. You know, has jimping on here, texture, so it's nice for reverse grip and securing your hand in that grip. In terms of blade stock, this is a 0.125 inch blade. I think the Umnumzaan is a 0.145, and then the VCP, if I'm not mistaken, I think is a 0.165. So of all of them, the VCP has the best blade steel. I'm sorry, has the largest blade stock in here. And then you know, nowadays the Sebenza and the Umnumzaan both use S35. In terms of for my knives, this one has S35, this one has S30, and this one has CTS XHP. So that's the standard steel that Les George uses on his VCP Midtex. All right. In terms of handle elements, well, let's talk about pivots actually first. So this is just a standard, you know, female male screw pivot. Okay, so it just, you know, that's how it secures. Fit and finish is absolutely perfect on this knife. You know, it's just perfectly centered. Lockup is late, and lock bar, I'll just talk about that right now before I forget. It does not sit against the lock bar face of this lock. It actually sits along a ceramic ball that is implanted into the lock bar at the end here. So I don't believe that the end of this lock bar is heat treated like he does on the Sebenza. This one, the steel sits directly on the titanium face, but it is heat treated, so it makes the titanium much harder in this space. And I haven't heard any issues of Sebenzas developing any like blade play or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. Testament to the way Chris Reeve treats his titanium on the lock bar face. On here, it's, I believe, a carbonized lock bar face, and it sits against the steel. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. All of them have, the Umnumzaan and the VCP have some very nice beveling work all around the lines of the knife here, which kind of just adds to the overall aesthetics of the knife. Sebenza is not, I guess it's beveled. Yeah, it is beveled here, but just slightly, you know, around the lock bar. And then it is beveled all around the edges of the titanium. All three of them just look absolutely beautiful. In terms of the handle ergonomics, obviously the VCP is the most ergonomic in the sense that it has these cutout for your index finger and for your hand to sit in reverse grip. Actually, in reverse grip, I mean, it is comfortable, but it has a very, you know, the cutout's very large for your pinky. In this regular grip here, man, this is such a comfortable knife, just ridiculously comfortable with this nice finger cutout. Not really a choil, so this finger cutout's so comfortable on the VCP. The other two knives, you know, just pretty much straight handles. Slight cutout for a finger, you know, to sit in there, but you know, not really. It's nothing to write home about or anything like that. It's just a straight handle, and it sits comfortably in your hand. It's very comfortable in the hand. The cutouts here on the titanium do provide for some nice grip on the, you know, regular sandblasted titanium, which is what the finish is for all these knives, just a sandblasted titanium. So all right, pivots. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, you know, pivot on the Sebenza. Most of you guys already know this. It's got the nice pivot bushing. So the tang of the blade, I'm sorry, the blade, has a pivot bushing inside that it rotates around. So it provides, the tolerances, on these knives are, 0.0001 inches or something like that. So due to those tolerances, it just makes for amazing fit and finish. But that does not mean that the Les George is a slouch. I think the tolerances on this knife as well are extremely, extremely good. Lockup on this knife and centering and everything is perfect, is absolutely perfect. So, alright, so that's pretty much the breakdown of these three knives. Now, going into design elements, basically, when I look at the shape of the blades, this is, obviously a much more aggressive blade than the Sebenza. This is your, just utility, hollow ground, slicer, cutter, kind of knife, and this, that's what it's designed for. The Sebenza, is, with this, kind of not sharpened, but sharp enough, swedge. It's a mean looking blade, it's got these, nice little divots on the spine, that you can really secure your thumb on, and, this is maybe what people would think is more of a hard use knife here. And then on the VECP, you got this large jimping here. You've got this swedge on this blade, and your thumb sits, if you're doing some precision cutting and all that kind of stuff, your thumb sits further on here, and it's kind of secured by this little ramp on this other side of the jimping. And it is a very, very comfortable blade, larger blade, a wider blade than these other two knives. I think the Umnumzaan is also a little bit higher blade than the Sebenza. I could be mistaken. Again, I didn't really measure it out. But in terms of design elements, basically you're going to have to see this closed. Hopefully you'll be able to see this here. I think that the VECP takes after the Umnumzaan. When you compare the looks of how the thumb ramp measures up against these other knives, the Sebenza is much more streamlined. The Umnumzaan and the VECP, kind of just the curves and the way that the blade sits in and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it matches up with the Umnumzaan more. Pivot system is the same. Blade stop is the same as the Sebenza, with a stop pin here. The overall measurements are closer to that of the Umnumzaan, I believe. The overall look of the blade, I think, is more similar to the Umnumzaan. And then, yeah, so in reality, the VECP is its own knife. The Sebenza, it's its own knife. People keep saying, VECP is the Sebenza killer. It's really not. It's such an awesome knife in its own right, and the Sebenza is such an awesome knife in its own right. And the Umnumzaan, if anything, the Umnumzaan would be the Sebenza killer because the dimensions are so similar to that of the Sebenza. The belly of these two knives are essentially the same. It's just got a thicker blade and a different locking system. But essentially, these two knives are more similar than these two knives. So it's, than the VECP. So it's like, why do people not rail on Chris Reeve for making his own Sebenza killer? He made two very similarly shaped knives, and we as knife collectors and knife junkies got suckered into buying these two knives. They're awesome. They're both awesome knives. So anyway, this is getting to be a pretty long video. But people, they talk about the alias, the Bradley alias as the Sebenza killer, or not the Sebenza killer, the poor man Sebenza. you know. And is the Alias a good knife? Yeah, it's a great knife. I had one a long time ago, you know, and fit and finish is really great. Lockup was solid, you know. But when you talk about the fit and finish compared to the Sebenza, you know, the Sebenza is, I think, the more special knife purely because of the pivot bushing. That is what allows for just the amazing fit and finish that is the Sebenza. You know, that's why I compare all other knives to the Sebenza, because of how special that pivot bushing system is. My Satu, my Grayman Satu, and the Grayman Dua, I don't have the Dua, but those have that same kind of idea of the pivot bushing, except their tolerances are not even close to the 0.0001 inch finish, you know, of the Sebenza and the Umnumzaan. So that's what makes Chris Reeve knives so great. The VECP is not far behind or even behind at all. In one of my videos I said, you know, if the fit and finish and lockup of the Sebenza was a 10, you know, the Umnumzaan is like a 9.9 in terms of fit and finish, centering, and, you know, every time you tighten it down, it's perfect. You clean it out and everything, then it's perfect. The VECP, from everything that I've gathered from handling it and all that kind of stuff, it's, you know, maybe a 9.7. You know, this is just such an awesome knife. And on mine in particular, the detent is extremely strong, so that's my only beef with the knife, but I still love it. You know, my little engraving on here is, you know, you can see it's a little bit faded here, but I don't care. You know, that's totally fine. You know, it's still such an awesome knife. I'm just still debating on whether I want to sell this one and get my money back for it, or keep it because it's such an awesome knife. So anyway, I've dragged this video too long. You know, that's my comparisons of these three knives. In their own right, they're all awesome knives. I think all other knives, you know, should be compared to these knives. You know, Striders, Hinders, they're much more unique, you know, to this genre of knife. These knives, you know, this one is probably most capable of hardest use given the thickness of the blade and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, I would have no problem carrying any three of these blades and putting it to its devices. So, alright, man. Whoever had asked me for the knife comparison, I hope this helps. I hope it's not just more confusing for you. All three are awesome blades, and if you can get any of them, then you're lucky to get them. So just try them out. If you don't like them, you can definitely sell them. This one is the hardest to come by for sure right now. Les George, you know, puts them out in little spurts and here and there, and like I was saying, you know, last time Monkey Edge came out with their special version of it with the black DLC PVD and the stonewash, it was sold out like 2 minutes is what it seemed like. So yeah. Alright, so thanks guys for watching. Sorry for dragging this video out so long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about these three, if I'm making a fair comparison between the Umnumzaan and the VECP. Alright, thanks guys. Talk to you guys later. See you on the next vid. Bye.